2022 was another great year for television. With more streaming options than ever and productions opening back up after the stalls due to COVID-19, the volume of programming is higher than ever. From event series to revivals, comedies and dramas to genre offerings, we could barely watch it all. With hundreds of shows to choose from and thousands of hours of programming, here is our list of the best TV shows of 2022.
You didn't have to come, I can handle this myself.
Not likely. Silver, very dangerous.
Honorable mentions: Tulsa King, Paramount Plus. Taylor Sheridan got bored during the pandemic, and the result is this showcase for Sylvester Stallone. Blending the conventions of mafia stories with the Midwestern flair that Sheridan is known for, Tulsa King is surprisingly funny for a crime drama, and shows that Stallone is more than capable of delivering comedy as he is action and other drama. A talented ensemble accentuates Stallone's role as an over-the-hill capo who may still have more in the tank than anyone expects. Definitely the best effort from Sheridan since Yellowstone.
Oh my God, is he dead?
No, he's taking a break.
Stranger Things 4, Netflix. Stranger Things 4 does not rely on cheap jump scares to deliver chills. This is the most complex season yet, with each episode building on the mythology of the Upside Down more than ever. With the main cast bigger than it has ever been, this season manages to give each character balanced screen time and each plot enough room to develop. Stranger Things 4 ends with its most epic and ambitious episode of the season and of the entire series. No one was prepared for who lived, who died, and where the story is going to be heading for the final season. But this excellent fourth season sets up something truly awesome to come. Number 10, House of the Dragon, HBO. Despite some jarring time jumps, George R.R. Martin's prequel to Game of Thrones delivered on the palace intrigue, sex, and violence we came to love from the world of Westeros. Without White Walkers to rely on, but with a whole lot more dragons, this series managed to hold its own while expanding our understanding of how the Targaryen line changed drastically over hundreds of years. I can say that what House of the Dragon showcases in its first episodes was much better than the entire final season of Game of Thrones, but has a long way to rival the early seasons that made that fantasy series such a massive hit. With scene-stealing performances from Emma Darcy, Paddy Considine, and Matt Smith, this series has the potential to do a lot more in Season 2 after leaving us with a massive cliffhanger of a finale.
Have you never imagined yourself on the Iron Throne?
Number 9. Lord of the Rings: The Rings of Power, Prime Video. Amazon had a lot riding on this series after shelling out hundreds of millions of dollars to the estate of J.R.R. Tolkien to adapt his iconic novels. While it shares visual similarities with Peter Jackson's feature films, The Rings of Power takes us back to the youthful days of Galadriel and Elrond. With Sauron, a specter of fear, cast over the world, this series chronicles the creation of the titular rings and how they ushered in a new era for Middle-earth. With a talented and diverse cast bringing the mythology to life, this series ranks alongside the movies and is even better than The Hobbit. The Lord of the Rings: The Rings of Power is an absolute masterpiece of television that has upped the ante for what we can expect from a streaming series. Number 8, Andor, Disney+. I was somewhat underwhelmed by the first episodes of Andor. Something about the pacing just felt off to me, but after the initial episodes I was able to screen in advance, Andor took on a whole new level of cool. With Stellan Skarsgård chewing scenery, while Diego Luna not only led a brilliant heist episode, a stunning space chase, and a multi-episode prison break arc, Andor managed to distinguish itself as unlike any other Star Wars property, while deepening our understanding of the non-Force-sensitive side of the galaxy. A truly excellent series that excels as a science fiction, as a crime thriller, and as a small-screen drama. Plus, Andy Serkis rules.
How many hands does it take for one word to get through up here?
Number 7, Cobra Kai 5, Netflix. This season of Cobra Kai started out very disappointing. With Johnny off in Mexico trying to find Miguel, leaving Daniel and Chosen to contend with Terry Silver, this season started with some uneven elements that tread water until it finally picked up momentum in its second half. The season brings a lot of story threads together and wraps up some subplots that have been taking way too long to resolve. With the end likely in sight for this story, this season works as a way to set up one hell of a conclusion. There are some great cameos this season and some connections to the overall series lore, but at the center remains a great balance of nostalgia for the movies that inspired it and some great development for Ralph Macchio and William Zabka.
Well, I make friends pretty easily. I find that a little kindness goes a long way.
Number 6, The Sandman, Netflix. It took years for Neil Gaiman's legendary graphic novel series to be adapted, and thankfully Netflix did it right. From the production values to the pitch-perfect casting of the entire ensemble, this series is an achievement with very few worthy comparisons. With a boundary-crossing, genre-hopping, and time-period-busting mix of subplots and overarching narrative, The Sandman comes to us as both a faithful realization of the original comic book, as well as a modernized reinvention of the first 2 volumes of the graphic novel. Anyone diving into this series should be prepared to invest not only their time, but their attention, as this is a very dialogue-heavy story and an emotionally heavy one as well. By the end of the 10th episode, you will be ready to continue your journey with Dream and the Endless for seasons to come.
Oh, you don't think dreams can die? Let's find out.
Number 5. The White Lotus, Sicily, HBO. Mike White's limited series was so popular, he turned it into a loose anthology with the title hotel serving as the connection. With the same formula of dead bodies leading to a season-long flashback, The White Lotus brings a new cast of interesting characters as well as the return of Jennifer Coolidge in her acclaimed role as Tanya. This season adds Aubrey Plaza and F. Marie Abraham amongst others to the Italian-set resort where death, love, and more are satirized hilariously. With a blend of dark humor, brilliant insight, and a biting worldview, no one is safe from falling prey to the charms and illusions of paradise.
Italy's just so romantic. You're gonna die. They're gonna have to drag you out of here.
Number 4. Severance, Apple TV+. Ben Stiller and Adam Scott joining forces for a bizarre, surreal tale should have been enough to warrant this series as must-see viewing. But once you start watching this darkly comic horror story, you realize that this is easily one of the best overall debut seasons for a series in a long time, and will assuredly be poured over and discussed as each episode dropped. If you were like me, you finished each episode with a lot of theories and even more questions. Severance is unsettling in a way similar to M. Night Shyamalan's Apple series Servant. Where that series is more supernatural in nature, Severance is far more grounded in presenting the psychological trauma of its characters despite the sci-fi plot device in the title. Severance makes you question your own work-life balance and keeps you biting your nails until the very last scene.
It would take a monster to put someone in a place like that office. Especially if the person was himself.
Number 3. Better Call Saul, AMC. How often has a prequel or spin-off exceeded the series that inspired it? Probably not very often at all. Better Call Saul sounded like a joke and became a television masterpiece. Bob Odenkirk made Saul Goodman, aka Jimmy McGill, into a sympathetic character as we saw him struggle in his brother's shadow, his love for colleague Kim, and his eventual connection to Gus Fring. With stellar performances from Giancarlo Esposito, Jonathan Banks, and Rhea Seehorn, this final season contains Breaking Bad surprises while completing Saul's arc both before he met Walter White and after. Better Call Saul is one of the best series of all time, and probably even better than the show that inspired it.
Screw the FCC. I'll go to the mat with those pencil pushers. Oh.
Number 2, The Bear, Hulu. The Bear is absolutely a series you should watch and as soon as possible. What really makes it so good is the portrayal of the world of chefs and restaurants. Much like we have seen in the writing and documentaries of Anthony Bourdain and other chefs, the glamour of being a chef is often a facade over the stress, addiction, and turmoil behind the scenes. The Bear manages to mine these elements for a fascinating look into the lives of the men and women who work alongside main character Carmi, while also each of their personalities are allowed to develop within the story. Clocking in at less than 5 hours for the full season, The Bear accomplishes more character building and storytelling than some shows achieve after multiple years on the air. It's not a show full of Easter eggs or plot twists to unpack, but it is a wonderfully written series full of engaging performances and more heart than I have seen in any other show in recent years. It doesn't feature a mystery to solve, action sequences, or special effects. The Bear is just a damn good show and one that everyone can appreciate.
This is your brother's house. I was running it fine without you.
Why didn't he leave it to you then?
Number 1. Yellowstone, 1883 and 1923. Paramount Network and Paramount Plus. The Taylor Sheridan era at Paramount is in full swing. The flagship series Yellowstone recently returned for a 5th season that saw Kevin Costner's John Dutton elected as governor of Montana and a whole slew of new enemies for his family to face off against. But Yellowstone was flanked by 2 prequel series this year. While 1883 debuted at the end of 2021, more than half of the season aired in 2022. We also, at the time you're checking out this list, enjoyed the premiere of the Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren-led 1923, the next chapter in the origin of the Dutton clan and their ranch. All 3 of these series perfectly balance soapy elements of drama with great characters all wrapped up in a reinvented Western formula. It's amazing just how damn good Taylor Sheridan is at coming up with these stories, and we cannot wait to watch them all.
And I kill much slower.
Go on over to JoBlo.com and check out the full list of our top 20 favorite TV shows of the year. Thanks for watching JoBlo videos. If you like this content, make sure to like this video and click on the bell to receive notifications for our latest videos.